What NFC South sleeper receiver needs to be on your radar? How should you handle new free agent Kyler Murray in your FFPC Never Too Early drafts? And how will the Dolphins' new offense affect speed merchants Jalen Waddle and Devon Achane? Plus, 18-time FFPC League champ Paul Brenton is going to join us live from across the pond to discuss Kyle Pitts, Brandon Ayuk, and much more. We've got a great show for you. Ferrell Elliott is here. I'm Eric Balkman. Stick around. Your high-stakes fantasy football hour starts now.
Can't stand the pressure. I've seen greater men than need a lesson.
Broadcast live and heard around the world, you are now watching the most entertaining hour of radio on the planet. Welcome to the High Stakes Fantasy Football Hour presented by MyFFPC.com with your hosts Eric Balkman and Ferrell Elliott. The High Stakes Fantasy Football Hour is your home for analysis from the best players in the world. And now, because no one else was available, here are Eric Balkman and Ferrell Elliott.
Solace in the scripture. Are we not all our father's sons? I became a man. Nobody ever told me what a man was.
Greetings and salutations to all of you Balkaholics and Ferrelliacs. Welcome into the latest episode of the High Stakes Fantasy Football Hour presented by MyFFPC.com. I'm your slightly above average host, Eric Balkman. My co-host is the definitive commissioner of fantasy football, Ferrell Elliott. Coming up on tonight's show, we're going to banter about on how Bashal Tutin should be treated in FFPC Dynasty Leagues, Eli Stowers' rookie year impact, and Paul Brenton, the 18-time FFPC League champ, joins us to talk 2026 rookies, FFPC Dynasty moves to make and not make, and much more. If you want to connect with us on X, please do so at HSFF Hour. I'm at Eric Balkman. Of course, you can see it at the bottom of your screen right there. You can always check out the Ferrell's Kentucky Fantasy Football State Championship, KFFSC.com. I'm signed up for a few slow drafts in there if you want to compete against me. Register now. You can also post on our Facebook page, facebook.com/HSFF Hour. Email the show at highstakesfantasyfootball@gmail.com. If you have any questions for us, now is the time to send them in. We'll try to get to all the chat room questions, X posts, and emails in our fantasy feedbacks coming up later on in the show. And if we don't get into it, we will get into it on Extra Reps, which will air Friday night at 10 p.m. Eastern right here on this FFPC YouTube channel. Shout out to our audio engineer, my best friend Bryce, and of course our producer and mutual friend Rob. Now, if you are looking to put some of this advice and this talk into action, please do so at myffpc.com. We have FFPC Dynasty Orphans and Empire Orphans, some as low as $1, some lower than that. Check it out, myffpc.com, if you want to play fantasy football year-round. The Dynasty Orphans are popping. We just listed a bunch of new ones today and yesterday, so there's plenty of stuff out there for you. If you are more of a best ball person, feel free to check out the FFPC Never Too Early Best Ball Tournament or the FFPC Never Too Early Superflex Best Ball Tournament. The original recipe one features a $125 entry fee with a $40,000 grand prize. The other one, the Extra Crispy Superflex, $35 entry fee with a $10,000 grand prize. You got to hurry and get in these leagues because we will be shutting them down when the NFL draft starts on April 23rd. So you got about 6 weeks or so in order to cash in, 7 weeks or so in order to cash in on those 5-figure grand prizes, because those drafts are going to be decided prior to April 23rd this season. And of course, we got a couple of gorillas for you to check out. The Big Gorilla features a $350 entry with a $1 million grand prize. The 7 Bananas promo is live. The early Rampage tournament is going on right now, a $25,000 grand prize. You register for the Big Gorilla. Right now, you're basically getting 2 tournaments for the price of 1 entry fee. And of course, the Baby Gorilla is something we introduced this year. If you always wanted to play high stakes fantasy football, but wanted not so high of an entry or barrier to get in, this is just $125 and you can win $100,000. All those leagues and more available at myffpc.com. Remember to like this video, subscribe to the channel, comment on the video, share it with your friends, share it with your enemies, and get notified each and every time we go live. I'll give you the schedule for the FFPC family of podcasts for the remainder of the week at the end of the show tonight. Without further ado, let's bring in the co-host with the most. Ladies and gentlemen, he is the commissioner of the Kentucky Fantasy Football State Championship at KFFSC.com, and a guy that I've been doing this show with for many years. He never fails to disappoint. This night will be no different. Please welcome in Mr. Ferrell Elliott. Ferrell, good evening, sir.
I never failed to disappoint.
Not once. Not once.
Now, examine that statement there.
Oh, sorry.
I never fail to disappoint.
I just realized.
My prom date. I went to the prom as a sophomore once.
Yeah.
Didn't even have a driver's license. Pop passed me the keys anyway. Said bring her back without a scratch. And she was disappointed that I did not show up with adult beverages. This is in Balky. Now I've disappointed you. The Gorilla says that he's sure that was on purpose. I'm not quick enough to keep up because I caught that one. But your chicken thing, original recipe, until you came in with extra crispy, I didn't catch it. So I'm not as quick as the guys at the combine, Balky. Holy smoke!
They were fast this year. Now I will say that two things to say about that. Number one, you always fail to disappoint. I'll say that right now to correct my faux pas from earlier.
I still don't think we're getting anywhere.
Well, we're probably not. Number two. A big reason they were so fast in the combine, I think it started happening a little bit last year, but more so this year, Ferrell. The slow guys just aren't running anymore. The guys who are not going to run 40s. We saw the fewest number of people run in the 40 this year than we've seen before, which obviously is if it's just the fast guys running, it's going to increase that speed. And we saw it. What was it? Like 5 different positions. It was the fastest we've seen from any of those positions in combine history. I don't think that's an accident.
No, and as you move back, football playoffs, and the championship, and extra weeks for certain teams, we're going to get more of that because guys are ending their season later. Some of these have a conference championship game in there, and they're ending the season later. They have to recover from that, and then they have to get involved with training. Mm-hmm. And unless you know you're going to run that 40 time, you need to wait until your pro day. And it makes very good sense to me. But, boy, it's glorious to see. And who wants to see a slow guy run? Just give him a chance to run well, at pro day. Well, we even had quarterback bust into the 4.4s. But what else is on your mind tonight?
Well, I think the big news of the day, if we can get into it right now, is the changing of the guard at receiver in New England that we saw today. Tom Pelissero, I think, was the first to report it from NFL Network that the Patriots have moved on and released Stephon Diggs. Now, the move is not officially official, as Ian Rappaport likes to say, until the new league year begins next week. But Diggs already posted on, I believe, Instagram and X that he basically saying goodbye to the New England fans and the Patriots fans. He will be 32 years old this year, looking for another new team. The last 2 years, he has been one and done with his squads, with Houston in 2024, New England in 2025. 2.1 yards per route run in 2025, which isn't, a wow at all, but it's definitely not bad. I mean, it's for sure, significant. Was not all that great in the postseason. And we noticed that New England really didn't treat him as like a traditional X receiver because he wasn't out there as much as we would have liked, at least Diggs owners would have liked to see him play. I don't believe he's washed. I believe that there's still something left there, but his best football is behind him. He's also in some trouble off the field as well. We could see him remain a free agent for quite a while here, Ferrell, while the NFL waits to see what's going to happen with his legal stuff. And in that case, he's going to be plummeting in the Never Too Early Best Ball Tournament. Right now, I show him as wide receiver 42 at the 10:02. This is always a tough subject to talk about when we're not talking football, but this is a fantasy football program. And I'll just tell you that I do believe that this guy is going to dip into an area where he's going to become a target for me because people typically do not like to draft players that are not on teams. And we saw it last year with, I think it was Keenan Allen, right? Where he wasn't on a team for forever. And, I was drafting him in the 17th, 18th round. Eventually he did sign somewhere. and he put up numbers for best ball teams. We've seen it happen before. I think it's going to happen again with Diggs. Too rich for my blood right now at that 9-10 turn. But once he dips maybe to like wide receiver 49, wide receiver 50, and he starts going and say, I don't know, what would it be? Like the 12th round, the 13th round, that might be the time I strike.
Okay. I'm going to leave this alone as a drafter. I think, you've got a player here that wants to be the number one receiver. That's his whole mantra. That's why he left Minnesota a long time ago. Thielen was the number one guy. He wanted to be, there was no room for him with Jefferson. There's just, he moves on. He wants to be the number one guy, and that is his situation. We saw Kupp, we saw Thielen, we saw Samuel, all these situations, and go to places where they could help teams win. I don't think this is this kind of guy's makeup. Now, as far as catches, somebody's going to raise their hand and say, Ferrell caught 85 passes last year, 86 passes, something like that. But he didn't catch them for much yardage. And I think you could put a serviceable receiver into that position in New England and do well. We don't need a serviceable receiver in New England. We need a stud. We need a star. We need someone they can develop. And if that player develops or comes in as a player in his prime as a free agent, the beneficiary in New England is that quarterback who in my experience, in my limited gorilla drafting, which I am involved in right now, I think is going a little later than he should. And you picture one of these young receivers, or you picture a free agent. There's some suggestions here on the message board. I think there's much better things you could do, Balky. And if you're tempted in the 12th round, I would say avoid that temptation. If he's still hanging around late, why not? But not for me.
Yeah, in that area where I'd be looking at him, or I said I'd be looking at him, that's like Jaden Reed, Jaden Higgins, Kevin Concepcion territory. And certainly you can make a case that those guys would be more valuable than Diggs, considering that none of them have the age that Diggs does. None of them have the off-field stuff that Diggs has. And all of them are currently signed with teams. They're under contract with teams, which is something
I pray that his off-field gets the healing it needs and he can return to fantasy. He can return to football. He won't be returning to my fantasy football.
You bring up the interesting point about New England and Steve G chiming in. How do you replace Diggs on the Patriots? Steve G said Shaheed, and I think that's valid. But I do believe that New England, was kind of exposed by not having that true alpha in his prime. And I think about guys that could come there, maybe not, because I don't think there's a free agent that's going to come and be a massive difference maker there. There's certainly nobody in the draft that's going to step in year one and be the alpha on a Super Bowl contender, a team that's coming off a Super Bowl appearance. I think about guys that might be available in trade. AJ Brown would be a possibility, and maybe I spoke too soon. Maybe Mike Evans could fill that role for that'd be another option. But I think that's where New England is setting their sights. I think as big as this Diggs story is, I think the bigger story is going to be the huge fish that this team is going to reel in. And I think it stands to reason it may not be Evans or Brown, but it's certainly going to be somewhere at that level of talent.
Draft and develop one of these young guys that will be playing like Alec Pierce, a guy that you don't have to throw the ball to that much, but sure does catch it when you do. That's what they need. They need that downfield guy.
Speaking of downfield guys and younger receivers, I don't think we've talked a whole lot about Jalen Coker. And I do want to bring him up tonight because Carolina, he's in the news. Carolina actually tendered exclusive rights to Jalen Coker. Adam Schefter reporting this earlier today. Coker did not play early in the 2025 season, and obviously it took him a little bit. What does Mike Tomlin always say? It's hard to jump aboard a moving train, right? Which is what Coker was trying to do. But down the stretch, he was awesome. 134 receiving yards and a touchdown on 9 catches in the wild card game for Carolina this year. Dave Canales said, this is probably about 2 or 3 weeks ago now, that he is the number 2 receiver behind Teteroa McMillan. Carolina, it remains to be seen what they do at running back. I think Rico Dowdle's gone. They're still going to have Hubbard. We'll see what they have with Jonathan Brooks. They could bring somebody in there, but they like running the football there. And when you talk about a second wide receiver in that offense, I don't know how much fantasy value there is, but there is some. And in the Never Too Early Best Ball Tournament, wide receiver 54 at the 1304. Speaking of Diggs territory, if he does slip down to that area, I think Coker's really interesting. He came on at the end of last season. We love to see players carrying that momentum into the following year. And I'll say it right now, and maybe YouTube has a problem with this. I'm a cokehead. Jalen Coker, baby, in 2026, wide receiver 54. Makes a lot of sense in the 13th round, Ferrell. I wouldn't say I'm necessarily targeting him there, but if I do see him available in the 12th and 13th round, I'm probably going to be hopping on that quite a bit.
And I'm jumping on that bandwagon with you, Balky, and he earned it. He earned it in the playoff game. He earned it towards the end of the season. They're going to have a better passing attack this coming year. I'm all the way with you there. This type of tender is the one that you continue to negotiate through and get to a longer-term deal for him. He's going to step up and have one of those deals and be a valued member of this team. So I'm a big Jalen Coker guy. I might even draft him a little earlier than where he's going now.
Yeah, it seems like McMillan is getting all the love right now. He's going really high in the Never Too Early Best Ball ADP. I'm showing Tedero McMillan as wide receiver 13 right now, Ferrell, at the 309. That's ahead of A.J. Brown, T. Higgins, Garrett Wilson right now. So there's a lot of love for McMillan. Probably should be more love for Coker. Let's spread that Carolina Panthers love out a little bit more, FFPC drafters. My message to you this evening. I also have another message for you, and that is bringing our guest on tonight, which we're going to do right now. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my pleasure to bring him on, a guy who has won. He was already a double-digit league champion in the FFPC prior to this season. And then on to his 10 league championships. He adds on not 6, not 7. I feel like I'm LeBron, right? Not 6, not 7. He added 8 FFPC Dynasty League championships onto his resume this past year. You can connect with him on X at EPB 1983 Dynasty. That is EPB 1983 Dynasty. He joins us from jolly old England right now, early in the morning. Please welcome aboard onto the show, Mr. Paul Brenton. Paul, good morning, sir. Thanks for hopping on.
Good morning, Eric Ferrell. Thanks for having me.
So I tried to map this out before the show started. Are we looking at what? Is this 3:15 in the morning for you right now?
Absolutely, yeah.
That's wonderful.
I've stayed up. I was so fearful of missing an alarm to get up that I've stayed up.
You just got in. You just got in from the pub. Is that right, Paulie? The chair's not even warmed up yet, is it?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay. When you are in the pub over there, what are you enjoying?
I drink a cider, but it's very different from the cider that you're used to. Yeah. It's proper sort of Somerset cider where cider originated from. So that's my tipple.
Yeah, and the only reason I know it's big over there is because I just got done watching the Game of Thrones spinoff, Night of the Seven Kingdoms, and there was a cider maker on that show. So then I fell down the rabbit hole of English cider on the internet, Paul. So I learned a lot about it. But there you go.
Very good.
Good to know. Good to know. Okay, we're going to get into fantasy football here in a second. Tell us what you're doing when you're not crushing all these FFPC leagues, both redraft and dynasty. What are you doing for a living over there in England?
So I'm a digital director. That's what pays the bills. But really, I have an obsession for fantasy NFL. I run, I cycle. I'm always indoors. I hate cycling, running outdoors, which is the opposite to most people.
Right.
I got into NFL, I guess, in the late 80s, which is probably unusual for somebody in the UK. My dad's first cousins, were cheerleaders for the Dolphins, hence the Dolphins gear. And that's really how I got into NFL. So it's always been part of our family. I've been very fortunate. I've seen Miami everywhere they've played. So London, Frankfurt, Madrid, Miami, obviously, New York. I've been over to the States multiple times to watch games. Our family's obsessed with NFL, really. So that's my background, and I've got an amazing family. I'm very fortunate. I've got 2 boys who are also obsessed with the NFL. No pressure from me, but 10 and 7. They want to be on the international pathway.
So a couple of questions here, follow-ups on this. So number one, is that I maybe lost count. Have you seen the Dolphins play in 5 countries or 4, Paul?
What have we got? England, Germany, Spain,
Spain,
and the States.
and the
so
States.
four.
Okay, all right. Well, that's where the hell's Tom Smith tonight? He'd be eating this up, Ferrell. With all
we need to get Tom.
Yeah.
Smith is our California-based, Paulie. He is our California-based Dolphins fan. And Dolphin fans are all over, and God bless you. I don't think any of them has your dedication and family history. So good. Let's start with the Dolphin question.
Yes.
How do you envision, because you must be a visionary to have these consistently good records in the FFPC, what do you think? There's a lot of things going on with Waddle. Blazing. We just talked about all these great speeds from the combine. Did you watch a lot of the combine?
Yeah, I've watched
Good.
Mostly
Waddle's only 27 years old, and when he was 21 and 22 years old, he's fast as the fastest of these guys. But I only see a 60 catch receiver for the last couple of years. And I know he's played hurt. I know he's missed some time. He doesn't seem to miss games, but he seems to miss time in games. He has a new offensive coordinator and a new head coach that made significant differences with players over the last couple of years, especially at the quarterback position. You don't really have your quarterback yet. We don't really know who he is. So how do you envision this? Do you see Waddle coming back to be the bulky? It may be since 2021 that he's put up the kind of numbers that I think would justify drafting him generally where he goes. And I have not been a Waddle drafter for years, and I don't know if this is the year that I want to jump on the ship. Paulie, tell me, am I right or wrong about your book?
I think it's a really good question. I think I can't pretend that I'm not a little bit worried with the Green Bay influence coming across on offense. They haven't been the most exciting offense, been efficient, but they don't really have a true one, do they, as a wide receiver? They spread the ball out. You saw Golden last year, there's lots of hype with him, obviously a bit of a speedster, and it didn't sort of pan out for him. So I'm a little bit worried about that. But with Tyreek Hill moving on, he's going to be the number one receiver, at least this year. They've got no plans from what they're saying to trade him. They see him and A-Chan as part of the rebuild. You can't tear absolutely everything up. You've got to have some players that can be part of the rebuild. So he has the opportunity to be that true wide receiver one in Miami. And even though we're going to be in a real rebuild, it's going to be a tough season. It was tough last year, really. Tua was inconsistent, but Waddle finished as the wide receiver 19, which probably surprises a lot of people. If you look at FFPC points, he was up there. Albeit he didn't have Tyreek for competition, but he hasn't got him again this season. And he did also obviously have Zach Wilson thrown to him for some of the games, and Quinn Ewers at the end of the year, who I don't think is probably the long-term answer, and still put up good points. And we've seen him be really productive. So, he's finished as the overall wide receiver. He's finished as wide receiver 21, 7, 12, 32, 48, and then 19 last year. So he's proven he can do it. And I think he's being priced in the same range, depending on where you're looking. He's being priced in the same range, not at startup, but at trade level, as Jaden Higgins, Alex Pierce, Michael Wilson, Matthew Golden. Give me Jalen Waddle over all of those players.
You make a very compelling argument for him, and so I'm going to take stay away from Waddle, and I'm going to look with great anticipation at his camp and his preseason. I want to see how he develops with the quarterback and what he's thinking about. Paulie, what bothers me is 12 touchdowns over the last 3 years.
Yeah.
And that's the thing I think could change the most without Hill being there. That's the one factor that I think might change the most.
He did. I mean, half of those touchdowns came last year too. And I would say too, Ferrell, you said 2021, which was a great season for him, but 2022, 75, 1,308 touchdowns.
That was his best season.
That was his best one. He still went over 1,000 in 2023. It was the last 2 years that's been a little bit more problematic.
As Stephen G would say, Balky, that's the year he made his bones.
That's the year. Yes, exactly. Speaking of which, No, not speaking of which, there's just no good transition there after that. Jalen Waddle, wide receiver 22 in the Never Too Early Best Ball Tournament at the 507. And you already heard what Paul had to say as far as dynasty goes. And I'm kind of with you with those other names. Waddle is much more intriguing to me. As our resident Dolphins insider from Europe, Paul, we only have one, and it's you. Who do you think, given the cap situation, who do you think is going to be the quarterback for the Dolphins this year?
It's probably going to be Malik Willis, isn't it?
I don't know.
Oh, I hope not.
Are they going to pay him all that money?
I thought we're probably talking 25, maybe 1 year, prove it deal, and hopefully, and we'll probably be in a position in 2027 where we've got an earlier pick in the draft and we can pick up. People want us to tank for Archie Manning. I don't think he's particularly proved himself last year. I mean, obviously he comes from a great family of quarterbacks, but we'll see. I worry it'll be Malik Willis because I just don't think that'll be exciting, and that maybe will push Waddle down a little bit. Again, efficient. He doesn't throw for that many yards. Might even cut into Achan's work a little bit. So we'll see. But
I am just afraid if Willis is the quarterback that you're going to be really hitting the cider. And that's what's that's what's got me concerned. I'm concerned about this.
And we'll see what happens. You know, obviously John Eric Sullivan, the new GM, and Jeff Hafley, the head coach there, know Malik Willis well. However, I feel like a big reason that he was so successful in Green Bay was the tutelage of Matt LaFleur, which he's not going to get in Miami. Maybe he just needed that seasoning, and maybe things slow down and everything's clicked for him, and he's going to be good in Miami. We'll see. I mean, you could put Willis with Achan and Waddle on that team. Maybe you add another weapon in the draft. I don't know. There could be something there. Remains to be seen whether that all goes down, but we'll be watching for sure. Sticking in the state of Florida, let's go a little bit further north to Tampa. Paul, last year, Emeka Egbuka crushed it to open the 2025 season. He was looking awesome. We're talking about rookie of the year and what a steal he was in, the latter part of FFPC Dynasty rookie drafts. And then we saw another version of him that really faltered down the stretch. Normally we see these rookie receivers crescendo up as the season goes on, but it was the opposite for Egbuka as he ended up going down as the season went on as far as production goes. Certainly the real version, the quote-unquote real version of Egbuka is somewhere in the middle between those two. But do you think he's closer to the version we saw at the end of the season or at the beginning of 2025?
I see him as much closer to the beginning of the season. I think he was thrust into a role early on because of the injuries that they had in Tampa. I see Egbuka as an elite receiver. I remember people fading JSN after season one. People faded Pickens. He's obviously had a bounce back year in Dallas. Evans is clearly most likely out. Godwin's still coming back off of his injury. They've still got Mayfield there, and I think you have to be careful about coach speak and quarterback speak, but everybody spoke so highly of Egbuka. I don't really see much that changed in the middle of half of the year, other than more competition for targets, certainly in the back half of the back quarter of the year. He was a round one pick. We know that's super important for opportunity in the NFL. And here's a stat that I looked at earlier, knowing we're going to talk about Egbuka here. Of just over 2,100 rookie wide receiver seasons, Egbuka's 938 yards last year is 42nd all time. Right, so he had a really good rookie year. Yeah. It's easy to look at the back half of that year and think, actually, something happened, something changed in Tampa. I don't really think it did too much. That's more than Amon-Ra St. Brown got in his first year, and obviously we talk about St. Brown's rookie year as a stellar year for a rookie wide receiver. It was more than CeeDee Lamb, more than Terry McLaurin. If we really want to get carried away, and I'm not suggesting he's going to be anywhere near this level, it was more than Jerry Rice. Now, obviously, I'm not saying he's going to get near that level, but he's going to have the tools and the opportunity in Tampa to take that number one role this season, the same way we saw JSN take it in Seattle. So he is probably going to end up being their wide receiver one. Mayfield has proven in Tampa. I mean, obviously, it wasn't quite as consistent last year, should we say? But I think Tampa had a lot of injuries on both sides of the ball. His 63 receptions last year, by the way, were also 63rd all time for a rookie wide receiver. So I see him much closer to the front half of the year. I'm absolutely stacked on my Egbuka shares, and I'll be, if people are willing to fade, I'll be buying more, and certainly in the Big Gorilla leagues, I'll be looking any sort of fade on Egbuka, because of the second half of the year I'll be pouncing.
I guess if you're loaded up with Egbuka, Paul, it's tough to trade for him because you already own him. And all those.
Exactly.
Have you tried trade? I mean, what sort of been like reaction from trying to trade Egbuka? Have you found any owners that are really down on him after he kind of fizzled out at the end of the season, where you could get him for less than 100 cents on the dollar?
Yeah, I'm literally I think Jalen Waddle's my most owned player, but I'm at 80% Egbuka shares, so trying to trade for him in any league is quite difficult. But I have received offers for Egbuka, and people are trying to buy low. That's quite clear. But unfortunately for my league mates, I'm not one of those that is fading him. I think just a little bit of patience, except the back half of the year was always going to be, what's the word? Slightly slower than the start of the season because of the way we was thrust into that role.
Yeah.
You're hitting that rejection button quite often, sir. I can imagine.
Absolutely. Every single time so far. No one's come close.
Why are they even trying? I've got a variety of talking points. I think I'd talk to this player all night, but I'm going to continue the conversation with you after I ask the question. It's a very basic question. The quarterback in Atlanta. So Balky's been keeping us in Florida. Let's drive up I-75 and let's end up in Atlanta. And let's talk about the quarterback situation there, because it's quite somewhat uncertain too. The quarterback needs to get healthy. And everything that happens at quarterback, the biggest effect in Atlanta is not Robinson, but it is a tight end Pitts. And Pitts has become more in my mindset of the proverbial front of my mind ever since our FFPC champion Rob Sorrow announced that Pitts was on his team last year that won the championship. However, they only used him once. They had 3 tight end strategy, and they got Pitts late. And I think it was the greatest keep away in fantasy football history, and we could talk more about that later. But talk to me about your thoughts with Pitts. Is he quarterback dependent? Is he successful with any quarterback? And then I'll come back in with some more directed commentary on that.
Yeah, cool. So I too bought into Kyle Pitts last year. And he won me a couple of the championships. He had some of those, obviously had some great weeks last year. The 3 touchdown week, particularly, one was winning weeks for teams. Initially, I think with Pitts, my initial thoughts was I was quite disappointed when he got the franchise tag, because clearly he's got more talent than maybe he's had the opportunity in Atlanta until a little bit last season. However, I think more so than the quarterback situation, I think that the coaching change is going to have a big difference with Stefanski going across. So Stefanski targeted tight ends the second most in the entire league last season, compared to Atlanta, who were 15th, and that was with Drake London down for some part of that season. So Pitts could exceed, I think, his 110 targets from last year, even with Drake London, even with Bijan being 2 sort of alpha players in their respective positions. Mm-hmm. There's obviously, I'm sure you've seen it, probably lots of the listeners have read it as well. There's Kyler Murray's being linked with every quarterback needy team at the moment. I don't think that would be, and Atlanta is one of them. I don't think that would be bad news for Pitts if he ended up there, if I'm honest. He's shown that, even, obviously not last year, the year before, he was part of the catalyst with Trey McBride's rise. Yeah. So I don't think that's a bad thing. If you take away his game against Tampa, on the flip side, he only reached 10 targets on 2 occasions. And last year versus the previous year, he saw an increase of 59% in targets because of those injuries. is that sustainable? I mean, it was slightly less targets. I think it was 8 targets less than his rookie year. But it's got to be sustainable if Pitts is going to be useful. And I think whether that's Penix, whether that's somebody else, I think the coaching change is going to have the bigger impact.
The coaching changes the impact. Go ahead, Bob.
Well, I just want to ask Paul, as a Kyle Pitts owner, if I asked you what quarterback you want throwing to Pitts this year, and if it is, you mentioned Kyler Murray, Penix, Tua Tagovailoa is a possibility. If he gets released, Malik Willis, we could throw him out there. If you had your druthers, which quarterback would you want throwing the ball to Pitts if you could pick any of them?
To Pitts specifically, I quite like the fit with Kyler Murray.
If I'm honest. All right.
I think he's got a lot to prove. I mean, Tua is obviously famously accurate with his throws, but I would go Kyler Murray. I think he'd be a good fit for the dynamic in that offense. I think somebody that can scramble a little bit. Obviously, he started off. He's never reached that production he did in his early years, probably because of his injuries. But I think new lease of life for him, the young team. I think he's a good fit.
When it comes to just what tight ends are most productive, and you hit on it, Paul, McBride's in a class of his own. Over 150 targets. Bowers might have flirted with that if he had stayed healthy. You had Pitts at 110. I've got numbers that show 118. Both numbers prove the same point. But what amazed me was he finally began to catch the ball. I don't know if that was player dependent or more of what you would say coaching dependent. In the routes he ran, is that he caught over 75% of the passes last year, and I just really think that whoever drafted this player, kudos to you and to Sorrow, who didn't use him, but nevertheless, still blows my mind. But we can increase on that 5 TD figure from next year. I think you got a real player. Balky, can you tell me where Pitts is going right now in the Gorillas?
In the Gorillas. Yes, I absolutely can, Ferrell. So over the last 2 weeks, according to Fantasy Mojo, Darren Armani, fantasymojo.com, at Fantasy Mojo on X. Subscribe to fantasymojo.com if you play in the FFPC. It is a big help. Tight end 7, 508 for Pitts, right behind Tucker Kraft, right ahead of Sam Laporta.
Hey, how would you like to line up with those choices, Paul? Who would be your selection?
Oh, it wouldn't be Tucker Kraft.
Yeah.
I think that's really close between Pitts and Laporta. I'd probably, if I'm on the clock there, I'm probably splitting my shares and diversifying my portfolio a little bit there. I think, and taking every other Pitts, Laporta, and Pitts, Laporta.
I think that Pitts is a real steal. I think that's a real steal there.
Yeah, I think he'll. I think he'll probably drop a little bit as we get closer to. Once rookie fever really hits, I think he'll probably end up in round 6 at least.
Yeah. Good. I'd love to see it for sure. Pitts I think I'd lean towards Pitts over Laporta. I'm with you on diversifying to a certain point, Paul, but I always come back to the whole back thing with Laporta until I get some more information on that. I am a little skittish on drafting him. Okay, let's talk Puka Nacua. We'll continue with the wide receiver conversation. Actually, we're not. We were just talking tight ends. We'll go back to the wide receiver conversation. I'll tell you what, my transitions have been on point tonight. They have been fantastic. Puka Nacua plays in a reckless style, which we love as football fans, as fantasy owners. It's like a scared mother watching her young son play tackle football for the first time. You're constantly, covering your mouth and be very worried about it. So there's good and bad with that. The other thing to consider in Dynasty with Nacua is Stafford is not exactly a spring chicken anymore. Coming up at the end of his 30s, we knew that retirement was a possibility this offseason. He kind of quashed that at the NFL honors rate when he won MVP or whatever. We kind of knew he was coming back. But 40-plus touchdowns last year. A guy that old, certainly there's probably going to be some regression coming. When you think about how, excuse me, Paul, how high everybody is on Nacua right now and coming off the season that he had, what would you say to somebody who said, hey, I think now's the right time to sell Puka Nacua, would you get behind that sort of line of thinking? Or are you of the opinion, elite talent over everything else, I got to keep a guy like Nacua on my roster?
Yeah, I don't think you sell Nacua. I think if you've got Nacua and you're worried about Stafford, take the points this year, right? You should. The way I play fantasy football, I play to try and win every year, right? I want to be competitive every year. If I've got someone like Nacua, he's clearly going to help me be more competitive. So I would ride whatever happens with Stafford this year. Yeah, there might be, even if he drops down to a 15% drop off in touchdowns, right? He's still going to be throwing a lot of touchdowns, and the Rams are probably going to be one of the favourites for the Super Bowl again this coming season. I think Nakua's and what gives me comfort with Nacua, I mean his catch rate is like 77% last season. Like, he does not catch the ball. It's the fourth all time in NFL. He's the only player in history to post 500 yards in the first 4 games of a season. He's done it twice. Not one other player's even done it once. I think he's clearly Stafford's go-to. He's clearly the one. I wouldn't be surprised if Nacua is going off the board earlier than Jamar Chase, earlier than Justin Jefferson, and probably it's probably him and JSN. Maybe it's the new one too. And Nakua's proved it over a number of years now as well. So he should absolutely be in that conversation. And in Dynasty, I'm not selling that sort of player unless you come up with an incredible offer. You know, the early rookie picks, and I'm sure we'll talk about the 2026 class a little bit later. But you can miss on the 101 and the 102 and the 103. Why take that risk when you've got somebody who's going to get you those points? It's points that win the championships at the end of the day, and I want those points on my team.
The one thing that I love about Nacua that separates him from everyone else, and it is just the yardage that he gains after contact, which is normally a running back stat. And he is the best receiver in this business. Look, if he's up against a corner, you know, if they're playing like a Kansas City that plays a soft coverage, there's no one that's going to tackle him. It's just he's a great matchup wide receiver, and a pleasure to, you know, it makes you excited about playing fantasy football when you have a player like that roster. Absolutely.
And I think even when we get to the point of, I don't know whether it'll be a rookie quarterback for the Rams or whether it'll be a trade that they'll have to make to replace Stafford at some point. But if it is a rookie, his contested catch rate as well is incredibly high. And for a rookie, that's amazing because you can throw the ball up a little bit. You maybe don't have to be as accurate as somebody like Matthew Stafford, and Nacua is still going to catch the ball.
Yeah.
It's okay. Well, I'm always excited about Puka. I'm not excited about what's going on there at the 49ers with Ayuk. Your position of wide receivers, your understanding of the position of wide receivers has been spot on with this show. And tell me what you're going to do with Brandon Ayuk, because he is for me, he's the greatest mystery of all potential drafted receivers in the earlier rounds.
Yeah, I think Ayuk's really tricky, isn't he? My instinct at the moment, I'm sort of got split personality disorder with Brandon Ayuk. I'll buy for an early third, and I'll sell probably for an early second. That sounds a little bit odd, but his situation's very much in flux, and it really depends on the sort of your individual league that you're playing in terms of how people feel about him. I've got a good amount of Ayuk shares because people were selling him off cheap. So an early third is probably worth the shot. The way I see it is, if he's had a 16 points per game season. I think, obviously we're talking a couple of seasons ago, but he can play ball and he can be effective for your fantasy lineup. He's someone you can put confidently into your lineup every single week. Or you can swing at a rookie, because obviously it didn't end well for Ayuk with the 49ers. which creates opportunity. If you
Mhm.
already own him, you probably want to try and see where he lands, if he lands anywhere. If he lands somewhere, his stock's going to rise. So you're going to have missed the opportunity to take a swing at the early third. The way I see it is actually what the hit rate on an early third round pick is so low that actually take the shot on Ayuk. The worst that's going to happen, I'm sure we've all seen the tweet and the viral tweet or whatever, and the news that went out yesterday around his knee and whether he's actually going to play football again, and maybe that was part of the problem. Worst case scenario, I've lost a third round pick that is very unlikely to hit anyway. Best case scenario, I've got a starting wide receiver for my fantasy team that I'm happy to put in every single week.
I think you hit the
so difficult one.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Paul, the thing is, like, I think I'm with you on this. So where the hit rate for third round picks is so low. Give me the guy who's had 270 plus seasons already. Yes, knee be damned. We'll see what happens there. I'll take a chance. And then if somebody's going to offer me the 202 or 203 this year, yeah, I'm probably parting with Ayuk for that to get a younger, healthier guy, and we'll see what happens with that as well. So it's a good situation. You're right. Go ahead, Ferrell.
Guys, this receiver class in this draft is very, very deep, and I would study it a little more before I would give up a third round pick that you might be able to steal a guy, because you're going to see some players here that you can't believe are fourth, fifth, and sixth round NFL draft picks that are going to be available and going to do well. You know, Stephen G talks about one of his favorites, Shaheed, one of my favorites too. There's just the NFL is populated with guys that came into the league on the last day of the draft, and it. I don't know. I really like this group of rookie receivers, so I value those draft picks probably a little more. And Paulie, I probably historically have valued them more than you have, obviously to my detriment, because I'm not winning anything at the rate that you are. But I want you to keep winning, and I want you to really take a long look at those rookie receivers this year.
I will be doing the same, Paul. So we've gotten our homework from Professor Elliott. We know we have to.
Adjunct professor. Yeah,
before we do the homework, I want to get to a game by request, Paul, that we're going to play with you called Hold, Trade, Cut. I have prepared 4 groups of players here, quarterbacks, running backs, receivers, tight ends. You tell me in Dynasty which one you're holding, which one you're trading, which one you're cutting. Without further ado, let's go to the quarterbacks first. They are, and I'm including rookies into this, Sam Darnold, Baker Mayfield, Fernando Mendoza. Hold, trade, cut.
I will go.
There's no wrong answer, Paulie.
No, I know.
Some people might say there is.
I'm torn because I was really out on Sam Darnold, and he obviously, he's just taken set all the way. So I still want to cut Darnold because I'm going to cut Darnold.
Okay.
I'm going to trade Mendoza because it's an unknown and keep hold of Mayfield, I think.
I think that's the way I would do it too. I went back and forth on this between Mendoza and Mayfield, but I ended the same way you did on this one for sure. Running backs: Blake Corum, Rico Dowdle, Bashal Tootin. Hold one, trade one, cut one, Paul.
I'm definitely holding Tootin.
Okay.
And then it was Corum. I'm sorry, who was the other player?
Rico Dowdle was the other one.
Dowdle. I still can't give up on Hunter for the Rams. I still think he's going to play a role there. So I'm probably going to trade Corum to somebody who thinks that Corum's going to be more of a influence in that offense than I think he is.
Well, Corum is a favorite of Balky, Paul.
Well, I would say so. I
would. Because I pay attention to you when you talk on this show.
Yeah. Yes.
Are we in? I don't think we're in any leagues together, Eric. I'd be happy to hear your offer.
No. Well, here, yeah. Well, I can't play FFPC. That's the problem. But if you play in Kentucky Dynasty, then we could make a deal. Now, I will say, with Dowdle, how much, like, because it might be a 1 year thing, but that dude could still be the 1A in a backfield somewhere, like Minnesota, Kansas City. Like that's a possibility as well. Dowdle's kind of a wild card here.
Yes.
Yeah, he is. Yeah.
Wide receiver, Jaden Higgins, Jacoby Myers, Michael Wilson. Hold one, trade one, cut one. Paul Brenton.
And I can't cut all three.
You could savagely steal other players for your moving of Jacoby Myers, because Jacoby Myers.
Yeah, I would be holding Myers. I think. Who knows what's happening with Hunter? Is he really going to move and play more cornerback this year? Brian Thomas Jr. I think. I still have high hopes for him. So yeah, I'd hold Myers there. I think Parker Washington's obviously being driven up the boards by different shows and analysts over the last few days. I'd cut Higgins. I think. I'd be cutting Higgins. I don't see it. I don't see it there.
And
unless it's a special situation, game situation based on injury and player availability. I think we've seen Hunter play his last offense.
Wow, totally, Ferrell?
Yeah, it doesn't work in today's NFL and the way it's coached and the way it's packaged and planned to move one player out of the defensive room, move him into the offensive room, take him out of one situation, put him in the other. Both begin to suffer after a while. And it's not, it's just, it's Deion Sanders did it, and there's very few Deion Sanders.
Right.
But, the preparation that goes into playing both positions is just too much.
So Ferrell, let's test this out. Let's say you own Travis Hunter in an FFPC Dynasty League. Somebody offers you the 302 for Travis Hunter. Would you take the 302?
Probably so.
Really? Oh, I guess you were talking up those rookie wide receivers. Okay. So, wow. All right. Very interesting.
Hey, there's your other Dolphin fan, Tom
there
Smith.
You go. Tom Smith now chiming in.
Tom Smith is finally here.
Yes, better late than never, indeed, Tom. Thank you so
Tom,
much.
we'll when we get to extra reps, we'll tell you that you may have been supplanted as the FFPC's number one Dolphin.
Well could be.
But you know what? They could, because of geography, don't you think they could share the title?
I would think that we need one on every continent. So.
Yeah.
Okay. Last one here before we get to a rookie question. Oh, actually, there's a rookie in this one. Tight end premium, obviously. So these are not like your stud tight ends or anything. Theo Johnson, Eli Stowers, and Mason Taylor. Hold, trade, cut.
I have Stowers on my team, thank you. And I will cut Mason Taylor.
Because of the offense?
No, not because of the offense. It was Stowers, Taylor, and
Theo Johnson.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, I don't think Taylor was hyped up. I don't think as a prospect he was as great a prospect as he was hyped up to be. I think he has some opportunity, but the offense there is just, it's not been great for anybody, has it? And I just don't ever see a time where I would put Mason Taylor into my starting lineup and be confident he's going to get me 8, 9, 10 points, and more than that really is what I'd be wanting from my tight ends. But
I love it when we have a guest that tells the truth.
Yeah, I do too.
I got to go back. I'm already awarding you the title of wide receiver whisperer for this show, and how great it is to have us on our first launch to High Stakes Fantasy Football Show on Wednesday night.
Yep.
Your assessment of the wide receivers has been somewhat Churchillian, and it's
wow.
It could go down in it being historic. So let's keep proving it. Talk to me about the rookies. Talk to me about the rookies you like. I know the ones Bonky like. You can tell by the way I talk, I like all of them. So talk to me about who you like. Maybe a name or two that we haven't brought up yet. Tell me why. Is it just a feeling, a vibe, or have you followed the player for a long time throughout his college career? Let's hear from you on rookie wide receivers that will be drafted in the city of Pittsburgh, which means Balky won't be there this year. Who you like?
Yeah, I think wide receiver, as you said, I think that the wide receiver class is relatively deep this year. And there are a good amount of options. I think Tate and Lemon, I think, are the obvious answers, but I don't want to give you an obvious answer. People love Tyson. I'm not quite there with him. My less obvious answer, and someone that I'm hoping to get a decent amount of share of, will be Omar Cooper.
Yeah.
I think he's likely to end up like all of the mock databases and mock drafts I've seen. He's quite often going in the second round. If he's going in the second round, I am trading up to get him in the second round, and anywhere from maybe probably 201. I'd probably trade up to take him. He had a great combine. I think it was the fourth ranked wide receiver of those that were there. He doesn't drop the ball. If you look at his college career, he just doesn't. I think he's had like one drop, and 3 drops in 3 years in college, and he's had multiple different quarterbacks thrown to him during that time as well, and he still doesn't drop the ball. And I think any NFL team, that's what they're looking for. They want to be able to trust that rookie early and often. And I think he could land somewhere, depending on landing slot, he could land somewhere and have a really good year one. I am a bit fearful though that saying that out loud, not that I have any influence on the industry, but when everyone's bored of talking about Tate, Lemon, Tyson, etc., they're going to move on, and eventually they're going to catch up with Cooper, and it's going to push his price up. So it wouldn't surprise me if he ends up, by the time we get to May and we're doing our FFPC rookie drafts, he's probably back end round 1. But yeah, he's somebody that I really like, and I'm hoping to get a lot of shares of.
And the talk about Lemon all week has been how he failed in the communication aspects and the meeting aspects and the opportunity to represent himself personally. And it is a controlled, stressful environment. And, of course, Lemon, when he was interviewed from the podium, looked like a man possessed, it's unusual visuals there. He'll probably straighten that out. I want to talk about what I think is Balky's favorite rookie. Balky, again, I'm speaking for you again tonight, but and I love, when you talk about dropping balls, I think the most beneficial thing and the useful thing about wide receivers at the combine is to watch the gauntlet, because you can tell a guy that can really, really catch the ball. And KC Concepcion starred at that this year. Balky, I think you're high on this player. Paulie, are you as well?
It's probably about maybe 4th or 5th wide receiver for me, I think, in terms of where I'm ranking him.
Well, now I'm thinking a 4th or 6th wide receiver. You got to get jazzed up about that, Paulie. Because you got to have another cider and talk about KC Concepcion. I want to throw one to you. Out of Georgia, Zachariah Branch. There's a 4.35 40. I like SEC football players, Paul. Any idea on that player? Anything you want to share with us up there?
No, I think obviously.
And if no, that's understandable. You just need some of the big numbers catcher at Georgia.
Yeah, I was looking at some of absolutely. But I was looking at some of the players last year, and I was really just looking at their 40 times, right? And some of the players last year who got really hyped up in the fantasy community and really failed to produce anything of note. And I'm not saying he's going to fall into that category at all. Again, I think landing spot for him particularly is going to be really, really important. But those speedsters over the last couple of years, whether it's Thornton and even Worthy to an extent, they haven't achieved what the fantasy community has been hoping they would achieve.
That's why you can't truly go on that 40 time. I think college is important. Here's a Georgia, Tate's Ohio State. I don't think they're playing football at USC the way they used to play football at USC, but that's just me. I think you look at the heritage from where they come from, and that can help you there.
I will say with Zachariah Branch, first of all, I'm out on him. I can tell you guys that right now. 5'9", 177. I know he's fast, but I never was really impressed with his route running, and I know that can get better in the pros. But some guys are already better than him at that right now, some rookies. And I don't want to really wait around for that. He was at USC the last couple of years, behind obviously Mekhi Lemon. Who was the other? Jacoby Lane, he was behind there as well. He transfers to Georgia this year, and he was all right. I mean, like the numbers, 700-plus receiving yards, got in the end zone 5 times, 70 catches. I feel like I've seen this movie before with a player like him when he gets to the next level. And usually these types of undersized speed merchants that, didn't have great college production, they usually do not, to Paul's point, live up to what we think that they might be. And so that's kind of why I'm out on Branch. You're right, Ferrell. I am in on Concepcion for sure. One other question, actually 2 more questions. I'm going to ask you one. Ferrell's going to ask you one, Paul. Jeremiah Love, you can't answer to this question. I need a running back from you, a rookie running back. That's your favorite rookie running back in this class, but he can't be named Jeremiah Love.
Yeah, for me, you've got Coleman, you've got Jadarian Price. Johnson probably isn't too far behind there. I think on the first 2, Coleman and Price, obviously both well sized, but they're not really receivers, which is what you want in your running backs. I don't think they're standout receivers, certainly from my perspective. I'm probably, in all honesty, trading out if I'm on the clock and they're there. I'm really not enamored with the running back class this year. So where I've got the picks in that 106 to 110 range, certainly in 1 QB, I am selling to a rebuilding team, or I'm taking Stowers early if I have to. Certainly in tight end premium over some of those running backs.
Okay.
But Price is probably my pick if I'm forced to go down a route with a running back, but I'm trying my best to trade out.
Did Mike Washington's combine do anything for you? I mean,
ooh, there you go.
He was.
Yeah, it's a good question. I think I can't look at the combine in isolation when you're assessing these players. I think is where I'm at. I look at so many data points and probably come across quite clearly with some of the stats and things I've thrown at you. That's how I play fantasy football. I try not to let my heart roar. I'm playing for points. I'm looking at the data points. Combine I don't think there's a massively strong correlation from combine to fantasy football output. From an NFL stance and being an NFL player, I think that's a different conversation. But from a purely fantasy football perspective, I think, I'm probably Price after Love, then Coleman, Johnson, and then I'm out. Definitely out by then.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Ferrell, one final question for this episode with Paul Brenton.
I have several. I have several. What airlines do you fly nonstop to Vegas to participate in the main event in the 2026? What is there a nonstop London to Vegas? Is it Virgin?
There is.
Is it Virgin?
There's quite a few, to be honest.
Yeah, well, Virgin will get you there. That's where I stay, by the way, in Las Vegas. We support, we support your local businesses over there. Paul, you are coming, right?
I will see. We'll see.
Yeah, well, that's good.
Here's
It's a long way.
Here's the thing, Ferrell. Once the Dolphins play the Raiders in Las Vegas,
that was my next question. Yeah. Are you sitting on the edge of your seat waiting to see that schedule announcement? You'll be sitting there with every other NFL player. You'll have something in common because the schedule announcement is the greatest moment for anyone in the football business. Okay, but then I want to get back to fantasy football. And we got a lot of listeners that play Dynasty. We're going to get off Dynasty. We'll leave it alone. The reason I ask you about coming to Las Vegas is I want you to jump ahead to September. I want you to talk to the masses that are going to be playing in the main event, which is just where I'm going to be and where I'm looking to meet you. Now, who's the one player that you're going to look to get on a variety of teams through all formats, but especially at the main event? And who's the other player that you're staying away from? And you can't use any of the guys we've already talked about. We've got to have fresh material for this first Wednesday night show of the High Stakes.
Good. Okay, so the player I want on a lot of teams this year is Luther Burden. I think he's got massive opportunity in Chicago this year to really take over. I mean, if you look at his profile coming out, he is going to be an elite player. He's got all the tools in the box to be an elite player. But his price is starting to get hyped up a little bit. I don't know, Eric, if you got the latest of where he's going, but he is starting to get some hype. So he might price himself out for me. I want to also go give you a really deep dart throw that might be a bit unexpected here, and that's Tank Dell.
Oh wow, that is unexpected.
And the reason why I think Tank Dell, he's shown he can do it. He's got chemistry with the QB.
I agree.
The Texans were better with him, quite clearly, I think. I don't think Higgins and Noel are going to hold him out of target share when he's back. The only question you have on Tank Dell, and he's a free square, right at the end of your draft. The only question you've got is how's he recovered from that injury? If he is looking anything like 3/4 of the way to where he was, you have got a really good flex play on your roster, probably in round 20, because nobody's thinking about him. Even in Dynasty, I know you don't want to say Dynasty, but even he is a free player almost at the moment.
Oh no, I do play it. I just don't play it well. It's a big difference.
So yeah, even in the main event, I think I would, if he's there, I'll probably even go round 17, 18 for him, because he's proven production, and he will be on that team. He will be he'll probably be a 1A and 1B again with Nico Collins, like we saw previously. So they're probably Burden and Tank Dell. My stay away is Alec Pierce.
Blasphemy, Paulie.
It's his hype season again. Every off season, everyone hypes up Alec Pierce to deliver not a lot. And this season, it's because he's a free agent, and I really, really, really hope the Pats absolutely overpay for him to go in and be their wide receiver one. I appreciate maybe they should be looking bigger and thinking bigger with someone like AJ Brown, but I can see him ending up there, and I'd love that. He's not.
You got to go watch that film. How much film do you watch football?
How much film? What in terms
of games, in the terms of highlights?
I was going to ask you that, Paul. Like, how do you consume the NFL? I mean, are you staying up, or are you watching it at a later time when it's more convenient?
Both. So I'll stay up and watch live games, but we have I don't know what it is for you over there. It used to be Game Pass, effectively. I won't tell you the price that we pay because you'll be very jealous. We pay nowhere near what you pay for it. I have access to every single game. Whatever view of it that I want to take, whether that's a coach's view of the game, whether that's the full game, the game in 40, all the stuff that you get. A lot. An awful lot. But again, thinking from a fantasy football perspective, he last year he ranked 40th in points per game, right? He's going, certainly from a dynasty perspective, people trading him for firsts. I'm not paying a first for someone who's going to give me 40th
not this year
in points per game. Pittman scored 50 points more than Pierce last year. Appreciate Pittman's not a free agent.
I appreciate you bailing me out because we're already over time, and you're coming in.
Pittman's price is so much lower. If I can trade Alec Pierce straight up for Jalen Waddle, absolutely, I'm doing that, and I think that's doable because they are next to each other in any sort of trade charts, etc. at the moment. Especially if people have got concerns on the Dolphins offense. Yeah. Anyway, I'm out on Alec Pierce again. Never been in on him. I've got to be honest. And
I think that's a mistake. But you'll make so many of the right moves that it won't matter.
Genuinely, I think in Dynasty, I would be moving him before free agency. Now the hype is there. Like he's going to land somewhere amazing. He's going to get this mega deal. He's not a true wide receiver one. You don't want 11 points per game on your fantasy team. That's not going to win you a dynasty league. That's not going to win you the main event. That's not going to win you Big Gorilla. It's not even. Maybe on Best Ball, I might have a few shares, but outside of that, No,
A
thank you.
change of location could be good for that player, and that's the only thing I'm going to differ with you on tonight, Paulie. And now you've got me even questioning that. And I will tell you, but one of our listeners, Dom Gazzetti from Las Vegas, he'll be there to meet you. I got to give Dom a shout out, Balky. Dom and Kelly, I'll be there the weekend after Easter. Just so, and you know why I'm going to be there the weekend after Easter, Paulie? I'm going to be spending Easter weekend at the foot of the cross, praying that you'll make the trip over Balky's proverbial pond and join us in Las Vegas. You're going to bring a lot to it.
Yes, bring the cider. Absolutely. Virgin, by the way, British Airways, nonstop from London to Las Vegas. Yeah,
I think he's coming on Virgin. I think that's how he's coming.
Tank Dell, 1703, Never Too Early Best Ball Tournament, ADP right now. Luther Burden, I did look this up for you, Paul. He is at, let's see, where did I have it here? Wide receiver 25, 509 right now in the Never Too Early Best Ball Tournament.
That's not too bad.
That's what we got for ADPs. Okay, guys, we're gonna wrap this show up tonight. So what we're gonna do for those I'm speaking to the whole audience, but specifically to Ferrell and Paul. I'm gonna bump you guys out now. But we're going to come back with a different show, and we're going to do extra reps right after this, and that will air. So everybody's watching. You can expect that will air Friday night at 10 p.m. Eastern time. Paul, this was a pleasure. We will continue because there's so much more we got to talk to you about. EPB 1983 Dynasty on X, EPB 1983 Dynasty, 18-time champ. Thank you so much for hanging out with us tonight. So much more to come with you. We will talk with you again shortly.
Yeah, thanks very much. Appreciate your time.
Absolutely. That's Paul Brenton, Ferrell Elliott, the official definitive commissioner of fantasy football with the KFFSC. KFFSC.com is where to go. Best Ball, Main Event, Sweet 16, all available right now at KFFSC.com. Saddle up, draft some slows over there right now. Ferrell, thanks so much for joining me this evening, and we will talk with you shortly as well.
See you then.
All right. That is Ferrell Elliott. Paul Brenton, I want to thank both of them for coming on tonight. I want to thank the FFPC, Rob Bryce, and, of course, each and every one of you. We will be back. This show will be back next Wednesday, 10 p.m. Eastern time. We'll be talking with 2025 FFPC Terminator $25,000 champion Danny Kennedy will join us next Wednesday. That's going to be a lot of fun. Tomorrow night, FFPC Insider Access will feature Dynasty League Football's Michael Moore. We'll have him on from 7 to 9 right here on the FFPC socials. It'll be myself and him talking a lot of rookie stuff tomorrow night. Don't miss that. In case you missed the Road of his High Stakes Lowdown yesterday, 2024 Never Too Early Best Ball Tournament, 6th place finisher Frank Nunez, who actually I saw in the chat tonight. He was on last night. We had a lot of fun talking fantasy football, Never Too Early targets and fades. That was a lot of fun as well. If you want to put all this advice to good use, go to myffpc.com. Dynasty and Empire Orphans, as little as $1 now. The Never Too Early Best Ball Tournament, Never Too Early Superflex Best Ball Tournament, all available at myffpc.com, myffpc.com. Big Gorilla, Baby Gorilla. Sign up now. $350 to entry to the big, $125 to the baby, $1 million grand prize in the big, $100,000 grand prize in the baby. We're just throwing these huge grand prizes at you. Register and draft right now, myffpc.com. Remember to like this video, subscribe to the channel, comment on the video, share it with your friends, share it with your enemies, and get notified each and every time we go live by clicking that notification bell. Your Wednesday officially ends right now.
This has been another episode of the High Stakes Fantasy Football Hour presented by myffpc.com. It was broadcast live and was watched around the world. Balky and Ferrell will be back next week with more analysis, more interviews, and more advice from guests much smarter than they are. Thanks for watching, and we'll talk with you again next week.
So just a programming note, Ferrell and Paul and I will be recording extra reps right now. That's going to air Friday night. It is a recorded show, so you can feel free to post your YouTube comments on there. We always like them. I read all of them, but we won't be able to interact with you because it will be a recorded show. Thanks so much for watching tonight, ladies and gentlemen. I will talk with you again Thursday night. That's tomorrow night with Insider Access, Michael Moore from Dynasty League Football and myself talking rookies. It's going to be a lot of fun. See you then.